I'd like to call the Merrill Enrichment Center committee meeting to order. Since we have some new faces, it would be good to go around the room and introduce who's here today.
So I'm Tammy, the director for the MEC.
I'm Sharon. This is my last meeting.
Sadness, sad.
And I got on just for you.
Yeah, I was excited to see you on the board, not on this committee or whatever.
Yeah, we are too. We are too.
Good fit.
Okay, I'm Mark Wicks. I'm the elected alderperson representative on this committee. I'm a native of Merrill and graduated from Merrill and retired as a teacher from Merrill for 32 years.
Wow, thank you for
Yes,
that.
thank you
Privileged
for that.
to be back in my hometown.
We're glad to have you, Mark.
And it sounds like you're still serving.
Yeah,
Yeah, and of the court,
Yeah,
it's once you're a teacher, right?
I have 4 daughters and I have a wife, and they're all grown up and have nice jobs and very fortunate.
And you have gray hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm dealing or not as I know.
But you at least have hair.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I know most of these people.
Yeah.
I grew up across the street from him.
Oh, great.
Sharon, she was on her
I
youth.
babysat for you.
Long time.
When he was a teenager.
All those connections.
Yeah, you
That's
did.
great. Well, we're very, very
Yes,
happy to have
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, very happy.
And my name's Laura Bertignoli, not a native of Merrill. We came here 9-10 years ago to be close to our family, kids and grandkids, and just love it here. Just really enjoy Merrill so much, and hopefully this will be our forever home. So.
Yes, I hope.
I'm Gene Bevel, and I'm not a native of Merrill either, but I grew up when Mark was a little boy. So
So you heard the call.
we kind of got old together.
Beats the alternative, right? So I'm Elizabeth McCrank. I think most of you at this point know me, and I will be joining this committee officially next month. I'm here today just as a guest. Thank you for your indulgence. And I did not grow up in Merrill either. I grew up in Wisconsin, but I didn't grow up in Merrill. But I came about 8 years ago. It'll be 9 years in October, and I feel exactly the way you do about it, which is this is just a great place to be. I'm pretty jazzed about it. So,
Well, welcome. Thank you for being here and joining us as well. Thank you.
Sharon Harvey, I guess most of you know me too. Also a transplant from the East Coast, but raised my 3 daughters here. That was 32 years ago. So not a native, but I've been here 32 years. So
Yeah, what is the year count for being?
I don't know.
on the Isle of Man, I hear if you came after the year 987, you're a newcomer.
Oh.
Mark and I are the only born and raised. We got the oldie.
Well, yeah, so I didn't share where I'm from either. I'm a Yooper, a proud Yooper. But I've lived in Wisconsin now longer than in Michigan, which is kind of tough. But my husband and I moved here in '99, raised our girls, went to school. They get great education here. Yeah, the school systems it's just been a blessing for us. So just personally, we need to continue to support that.
And I think that's just a testament to Merrill, that
Yes.
not many of us are here and love it so much.
Yes, exactly. So yes, I'm excited for the next chapter of committee that we have and
Just
fresh
as-
outlook.
Why is she no longer on the committee? Did she get
I
permission
got
from
kicked
us?
She did not get permission.
Such a rapid rush.
She did not get permission from the committee to leave, but she told me she's going to.
Were we supposed to be reappointed or something now?
You were, yeah. I had asked a number of months ago prior, but if you were willing to serve another term, are you? Do you remember that?
No, I didn't think I was getting reappointed.
Oh.
Surprised.
Well, if you choose not to, you can let me know.
I'm fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I got the impression I wasn't going to be, so.
You're my left-hand man over here.
I'm not sure from who, but
Don't leave Mark with all of these women.
No.
I didn't hear what she said.
Don't leave Mark with all of these women, she said.
I used
Well,
to.
yeah. I grew up as a principal
Yeah.
with 40-some women.
Oh, yeah.
They were all smarter than me, so that was all right.
Well, I
Alright.
just, on behalf of
Oh, hi.
Jay,
Hey, Jay.
I just wanted to publicly thank Nathan and Sharon for their time on this committee and their very thoughtful questions and involvement and participation and ideas. And it's just really been a pleasure to be on this board with you. And I'm really sorry to see you go. So
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you so much.
very much.
Yeah, I love just different energy, different ideas, different thoughts, and that's what helps us to move ahead with new things for the community. So, yeah.
And welcome, Jay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
all right.
Okay, so next we'll move on to consent items. If everyone had a chance to review the March 24th meeting minutes.
Move approve.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Second by Sharon. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You have joined the call, but you are the only one here.
Motion carried. I don't know if we've had a chance, anybody, to maybe look at those yet.
Yeah, Jay and I looked at it.
Oh, you did?
this
We
morning.
did it this
Oh,
morning.
wonderful.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
I move approval of the vouchers.
Okay, motion by Jay,
Second.
second by Jean. Any discussion? They're certainly available for anyone else to review.
Yes, we can pass them around and have others look as well.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, public comment.
I'd just like to interrupt before, I'd like to leave before you get to number 3 in operations.
Write your own obituary?
It's not required, it's an option if you want to take a workshop. Okay, I'll make that note.
Make that note, yeah. Any other
I'm
public,
only kidding.
any other public comment? I don't think there's anyone joining us.
Yeah, I think I might have you hang up in a minute if there's nobody joining.
Okay.
So.
ADRC.
And Jennifer obviously isn't able to make
Okay.
it. Yeah.
If I may just ask, because you would probably know, since you did the grant, did we hear anything back? I think they were supposed to have the
We
results. by
did.
April.
Thank you for bringing that up. I'm meeting with Aaron Wells and Jennifer toward the end of May to discuss that. There's some catches with using the funding or receiving the grant if we are requesting we have a fee for our strong bodies. And in order to receive a grant, you cannot mandate a fee.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
So just for those that are new to us.
Yes, so it's a strong bodies. It's for, the grant encompasses a whole lot under their umbrella, focused on a number of different things
Health.
in the aging population and health and so on. So we fall perfectly under that umbrella. However, when the UW extension dissolved, we got the extra cash to offer the strong bodies here. And so Stephanie and I have started offering that, and it's going really well. We're going to continue the next session. But of course, funding is always, needed. And so we do charge $32, but there's 16 sessions. So it's really $2.
Yeah.
But in order to qualify for that grant money from, that's offered, we cannot, we have to maybe change our wording to recommended donation for the program. And so that is something the committee is going to need to discuss, because we just finished talking about our fee structure and financials. So I will be meeting with them. I think it's more toward the end of May, if I'm not mistaken. And then, discuss that and see how and if we're going to be able to receive that grant.
So remind me how much that grant was for. Was it?
It was open. They had X amount in a pot, and then a number of organizations did apply for the grant, and then they choose how that pot gets funded.
Okay,
So-
so we can't, so is there any way to figure out like how much you're bringing in revenue from the people that are currently in versus how
Oh,
much
yeah.
that grant would provide to us? To, I mean, will you know ahead like how much you would get if you, I'm not, so did they tell you if you were a recipient and how much it was for or not yet?
That's what we're gonna
That's-
determine.
Okay.
And what that would have to be is a lot more administrative work, because I would have to potentially let Erin know, okay, we need more weights for the program, or we need more funding for mats for the program if we're gonna start doing the intermediate level. And then I would have to show her what I want to buy, and then she would have to go and try to purchase it, and the money then would, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's more red tape, I guess, to it. It's not just as simple as them saying, here's $1,000 and do what you wish.
Okay.
It's a lot more restricted. So, yeah, understandably, you know,
Yeah.
so.
And I don't think anyone's struggled with coming with the $32. I mean, and I, just as a public comment related to that, I've heard
Okay.
several people say how much they've appreciated that program.
Oh,
being
yes,
back and using
it's a
it.
great program,
Yeah, so-
it is. And I have to be honest and saying that I'm teaching it, and I'm also benefiting from it. And I can tell I'm benefiting from it. So, you know, selfishly, I'm like, yeah, let's just keep doing this. So yes, we'll see. The only thing is we do like to have a minimum amount of participants so that I'm not back there with just one or two people, you know, with my time and everything else that has to go on. So, but so far so good. So, yeah.
Okay. Next, moving on to operations. So all of us research.
Okay, so they reached out to us. Do y'all remember that all of us research from years back? It's a genetic type of testing that they do. And so they had come here, gosh, a number of years ago, and they tried to get people to sign up for the research. And it's very science-based and very genetic-based, and you have to, of course, be willing for them to maybe take some blood, I think, and get your family history and genetics and all of this kind of thing. I think it's a great, it was great. I was surprised that they're still that it's still going, because that was quite a few years ago. So they asked if they could come here for a presentation and try to get some people to participate. So
Is that through Marshfield Clinic or?
yes, it used to be through Marshfield Clinic. So is it still?
I've been a participant
Me-
for
yeah.
at least 6 years,
Okay.
and there's over 500,000 people participating, but it is still run through Marshfield Clinic, and everything that, all the record keeping, everything that they do, and all the data crunching goes right through Marshfield Clinic. So, yeah, it's a cool program. It's been helpful in certain ways. You know, you learn some things, but mostly it's the aggregate that's important, what they learn about the population. There isn't a lot of privacy concerns about it because they are so concerned about the aggregate. They're really not tracking individuals.
Okay.
It's really looking at the large, what happens to a population. So it's a good program, even for paranoid people like me.
So what do they do with the data?
They scrunch it all together, and what they try and do is figure out things like, you know, if you ever read the book of the civil action, the book about the Woburn water case. So what they're looking for is to see if things are endemic, you know, if there's a like thyroid cancer popping up in populations, and then they're trying to find out, is there a group explanation? Is it an age group, a cohort? You know, if you grew up in the 1950s, were you more likely to be exposed to one chemical or another, whatever it is? And so they're looking for the larger patterns if they possibly can.
So it's purely scientific.
It's pretty darn scientific. They do, every now and then, there's an individual benefit to it, like they'll do some genetic testing, and they'll give you a report that tells you what drugs you may have strange genetic interactions with. So every now and then you find things like that. But most of the program is about the aggregate. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack.
Do you just come here, or do you ask for an invitation, or how do they get it?
You know, I don't know how I got it. I guess just
I think
because,
you can volunteer.
yeah.
I remember reading about it years ago.
They're at a lot of the health fairs, they're at the dairy breakfast, they show up for everything, they've always got a booth, a table, and they're always giving you water bottles and keychains and things and saying, call us if you want to do this. And since I used Marshfield Clinic as my medical provider anyway, I'm like, well, why
Yeah,
not?
yeah.
They know everything about me anyway.
Right,
Right.
right, and
So-
that's when we were with Marshfield Clinic too, through the city, when that was our insurance carrier, that's how, and the nice thing about them coming here is they explain all of that. They explain, people are fearful for giving all of their information and having somebody have it, but like you said, they probably have it, but I think you're contributing to the greater good to figure out all of these specific things, so.
Do they give you information back as you go through the process?
Very, very
Very-
rarely, only
yeah.
in situations like that one where they ask you, would you like for us to do some genetic testing to see, are you predisposed to something, and it's either predisposed to hereditary illnesses or predisposed to drug interactions. In 6 years, those are the only two individual responses I've gotten.
Well, are new people going to be invited to this?
Oh, it's open for new
How will the public know about it?
it's in our newsletter.
Oh.
I thought it was, yeah. I
Well,
thought
it
we
sounds
had
like they
mentioned
may
it.
be doing their own.
And if we didn't, I think they're promoting it. Yeah, I think the organization is promoting. Oh, and Vicki probably, I think she said she was putting it on Facebook, whether she did or not, yeah. It's on their social media. And then, of course, we share it to the city's page and so on, so, yeah. Yeah.
Any other
Yeah, I
questions
don't think it
related?
made the newsletter now that I'm thinking of it. I don't think we put that in. I think it was after our April newsletter was printed. That's what happened. Yep.
Just one last question. How often do you have to do something for that?
Boy, well, they send, during COVID, they sent monthly online questionnaires, mostly about mental health issues. And, I've gone in, I think, once for a physical at the very start, and then once for that genetic testing question. But mostly it's self-reporting online, and, things like, weight management or, self-reporting if you have issues with medications or issues with non-medication, whatever substances. So I see those questionnaires and surveys come out probably at this point, maybe quarterly.
Oh.
And they take you like 3 minutes to fill out, right? You're just,
Right.
right, so.
Yeah. Sharon, would you mind hanging up that call? There should be an end call button on the top four.
The
Top four up there should be one that says end call. Thank you very much. Sorry, irritating, distracting. All right.
Next, farm to table.
Yes,
Six.
and
I thought
so-
that was really interesting.
Yes,
Who's
so-
doing that?
That's what I was wondering.
Mary Huda, and so she came and approached us, which was fantastic. If you look on the back page of our main newsletter, back inside, it'll explain the whole workshop series. So we had been looking to do something like this for a very long time. And she had participated, I believe, in one of our fall events with produce and such. And so that's where that connection started. So then she came to us and said, I've been thinking. And so we were like, we like it, so let's do it. So there will be a 6-part series. You do not have to attend every one. Like if you miss the first one, you just come to whichever one you would like to, or the whole series. So I want to make sure people understand that you don't need to be present in order, and we're going to try to promote that as well.
But do you need to sign up in order to come?
We like people to call and sign up so she knows how much materials and such to bring, and especially when it gets to in the kitchen. Yeah, exactly. So we're excited about that. The first one, I believe, is the end of this month, if I'm not mistaken.
May 8th.
May 8th, okay. And then we continue once a month until September.
Is it always the second Wednesday then?
No, we are going based on her schedule, so when she's available to come in June. Yeah, so we'll have those dates posted as we go ahead, but yeah, That's a good question.
Will there be a fee for it or? a charge?
She is not requesting a fee for at least the first one or two, but once we start getting to where she's bringing in produce for people to bake and keep, then we're going to set a fee for that one, for that particular one or two, whichever one she decides for that.
What was her last name again? Mary?
Huta, Huhta. Yes, and so she has a sustainable farming is her focus, and she has a farm in the area. So, yeah, so it's going to be wonderful. So, and I like that it's a series and it's once a month as the season is changing, which was a wonderful idea that she brought. So yeah, we're hopeful to get a lot of people in for that.
Yeah. Great. And to get that kitchen used again is nice to see.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay, any other questions related to that? Okay, moving on to workshop series in May.
Yeah, so we have a busy May for workshops. On May 8th, we could just skip that one. No. Wade Funeral, Nikki has been gracious enough to come and offer a number of different workshops. So this is one that she's offering. She did offer it already in the last month, and we had some people attend that. And you know, if you remember, we had the professor, her name is on the tip of my tongue, Cecilia Zorn. She came from Eau Claire and ran this series a number of times, and it was very well attended. And the good news is there was a lot of laughter coming from the workshop room. But you know, she said too, you get the last word. You get to write what you want to say. And some people are a little uncomfortable with that. But so when Nikki came in, she's new to Wade here in this area. And she said she was excited to get involved with the community and offer some of these workshops. So she's doing that on May 8th. And then Mary Klug is going to have monthly Medicare offerings, like what are you confused about, what questions do you have? So she'll be here on the 16th at 10. And then we have Hogum coming back for estate planning, a day session, May 23rd at 10. So it'll be a nice busy month for workshops. Yeah, yep. So we love offering those to the community as consistently as we can with and it's nice that I think a lot of businesses know that we do this, so then they can come and approach us. We also try to recruit and try to find a variety. We don't want to always stick with one person or one company or firm. We like to open it up to everybody. But when we're trying to find people and they're not coming, Hogum is generous enough to come back. They do all have an understanding that they cannot be hard selling their organization. They can be providing information and then let people know that wherever they choose to go, you know, this is educational information for them. So I think that's important, of course, because we're under the city umbrella as well. So, yeah. Any questions on that?
Okay, moving on to volunteer appreciation.
So that happened yesterday. It was great fun. The chicken noodle soup could have heated faster. That was the joke.
It really was very
of
good.
the whole thing. I'm like, why isn't this heating faster? But we made it through, and it was wonderful. I think we had just shy of the 40 that had responded that they thought they could come, and remind me to give you the bags. And so we acknowledged each group, talked a little bit about each group of volunteers. It was nice for them to mix and mingle because they never see each other. Some people do work the holiday volunteer, some people come and do, our church mutual group does the cell phone training in and out, the quilting is there. So it was really fun for everybody to kind of see faces of the other volunteers and what they're volunteering for and mix and mingle a little bit. So it worked really, really well, and everyone was very appreciative, but not more than how much we appreciate our volunteers. Because if you look at that whole picture and everything that they bring to the table for us here, we couldn't do all of that we couldn't do all of that with our volunteer base. So we're so grateful for all of them. So celebrating them, well, and April is Volunteer Appreciation Month, so we are going to try to do that annually as well. We're going to focus on doing that.
Was that the first time?
We had them years ago pre-COVID.
Okay.
And so yes, so that as far as a big group all together, yes. Celebrating each group kind of individually when they were with us, we would do that, but not as a whole.
Yeah,
and I think the whole is a good thing.
It really was very nice. I thought, just to see, like you said, to see who's doing what, and
Yeah.
it was.
What
So
do you
thanks
have?
for that.
Pardon?
How many volunteers do you have, Jim?
Oh, total? Oh my. I'm gonna guess
I'd say 50.
over 50 or yeah, 50-ish or so.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
We were
Yeah.
discouraging them from eating the desserts
Yeah.
because they're so
Got some
good.
left yet.
Yes.
Really, I don't know where you got them, but those are good.
Do you want to know? I have to confess I did not make them. I'd love to take credit, but everyone's like, "Oh, you worked hard on these." I'm like, "Yes, I did." I drove down to Sam's Club and bought them from the freezer. We had them for one of our events one time, and they were so delicious that we keep going back and getting them for future events. So.
The soup was good too.
Yeah, it was good too. Yep, exactly. Okay, so yes, it was fantastic, and we will continue that.
Okay, Washington School Intergenerational Opportunity.
Yes, we're
Sounds
very
exciting.
excited about this. And so we have had Washington School reach out to us. We had worked with them in the past, off and on for the years. And then there was, of course, the COVID gap, and then a gap with logistics, trying to get them down here. Well, the group had reached out to us, the teachers, and said, is there any way we can get, I think they have five third grade classes, or 6? 5 or 6 third grade classes, each with 22. They wanted to bring them all at once. I'm like, whoa. I love kids, but I'm not sure about that. So what we decided together is that they will be bringing 2 classes at one time. One time slot, I believe, is 1 to 2, and the next time slot is 2 to 3 on 2 different days. So we're going to be trying to cover as many of the classes as we can, and I think that would, that would probably cover the 2, 4, 6, 5. I'm not sure how they're going to break it up, but we are looking for volunteers. I have Steph has the dates and times up front because, of course, it didn't make our calendar. So we have a whiteboard right at the front check-in that has the dates, the times, and so on. And what we're going to do, because we kind of went back and forth. That's a lot of crafts. That's a lot of mess. That's a lot of, how are we going to do this? And how many volunteers do we need? So what we decided is we are going to do puzzles, because puzzles is the craze now. And so we'd like to have 1 or 2 volunteers at a table with, 3 or 4 kids. And I just ordered the puzzles from Amazon, and they are 100-piece puzzles, so age appropriate for the kids. Hopefully they can get them done in that hour time slot so they can see their final project. And it is called Animal Selfies. Cutest puzzles ever. And so I'm like, oh, look at how cute those are. This is going to be perfect. So there's, big giraffes, and they should be able to finish it. So we already have a couple volunteers from our volunteer appreciation who signed up to volunteer and work with the kids. So we want to try to, if you know of anybody, friends, family, whatever, that would like to participate in that, we could grab the dates from Steph at the front desk.
I think it's May 1st and 2nd, isn't
May
it?
1st and 2nd at Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yep, Wednesday, Thursday, and I think, was it 1 to 2 and 2 to 3?
I thought Steph said it was 1 to 3
1
total.
to 2, 2 to 3, yep,
however you-
and so they're in 2 blocks.
So the afternoons
Yes, yep,
of those 2 days.
yeah. on
Well,
those
here
2
she's
days.
coming with it.
Oh, she must have heard.
Well, there we are.
There we go. There we are. How
May
nice
1st and 2nd,
her
1 to 2
recruiting
and 2.
board is that she wrote.
I should look that up.
1 to 2 and 2 to 3, May 1st and 2nd.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yes,
Thank
and
you,
so
Steph.
that is perfect.
Remind me
Thank
of
you
Steph
so
when
much,
we,
Steph.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, so we're
Like
excited about
getting those
that.
young people back in
Yes.
after we've talked about,
Yes, for how
who are
long?
we serving?
Right,
Yeah.
but and it seems like when it wasn't our soul, like we have to do this,
Right.
and all of a sudden,
Here we
we've
are.
been in touch off and on with Washington, but both of us have our challenges for making things happen, so we're just super glad that this is finally happening.
So anybody wants to volunteer, it's 4 different time blocks then.
Yeah, so they
2
can, if
each.
you want to do one, and that's all you can do, that's perfect.
But
I
you
know.
prefer someone to do both the spots in the one day?
Yeah, yep, and I've already had 2 volunteers. I believe both of them signed up for one day for both slots. So, yeah. So we're really excited.
Okay, next, general item consideration, agenda items for consideration to finalize our core values.
Yes, so we had done a bunch of different brainstorming on this, and we had, you'll see in our May newsletter, we have our new mission and vision. We had changed that. That took some time for us to work on. So the mission is now to improve lives through social, physical, and educational opportunities. And the vision is to be that happy and safe place. And that vision came from our participants, and not intentionally. They kept, the safe was added by Jay, which I think is perfect. But I can't keep count of how many people came in and said, Mike, this is such a fun, happy place, and I love being here. And so that kind of stemmed from that. Like, wait a minute, that's our vision, to be that for everybody in our community. And feel welcome, of course. And that's the other thing that we have heard. And then our core values were the last piece of this. And so we had done some pretty good brainstorming last time. Right now, these are just what they were currently. These are not the new ones. So include, encourage, volunteer, and create. And so what we had brainstormed last time was the inclusion, which is include, respect. We also threw out the word of inclusion, include equity, kind, which we kind of sort of have happy, kind, integrity, collaborate, compassionate, core values. We also, respect or respectful, compassion, compassionate, which way is the best way to say it? Inclusion, include, inclusive, kind or kindness. We had thrown out service in there. And I think that completes our list.
I had collaborations. Did you have that? Maybe that was inside.
I did not, but that doesn't mean that we didn't say it and I overlooked it. So I think that we want to keep it to 3 or 4, I think. I think after that it gets a little bit too lengthy, and I guess, what are your thoughts? Some of you participate in things here. Some of you maybe hear things. I will share with you, we had a quilting volunteer group meeting the other day. It went very well. We have a lot of new people, and so we came together again to do introductions and get to know each other better. And some of the feedback from some of the new ladies that have joined that group said, I immediately felt welcomed and included and comfortable, and everyone's kind. And so we're hearing all of those things, which warms my heart, because that's what we go for. And I think when it comes from the 3 of us, especially, and that's how we are, and then it just permeates. And it kind of, without saying, sets an expectation that this is the kind of place we are, and this is how we want to be. And so it's that place. And so I think the inclusive is a good word, to include everybody. I don't know if we want to say inclusive or include. So what are your thoughts? All of those. I don't want to give, all of my thoughts. I would like to hear from you as to what you feel is representative of our space.
Is welcoming another word for inclusive?
I don't think
Is it?
so. I think we do welcome, but we include. I think they could be different.
inclusive, I think, could be construed in a couple different ways. That's why I'm thinking maybe,
Mhm. So maybe welcoming could be a replacement word for inclusive?
It's a more common word than
Mhm.
inclusive.
Yeah,
You know,
and
I'm trying
that's
to think what
what
am I
people,
really trying to accomplish by saying the word inclusive?
Right.
And we want to include everyone, I understand that, it means
Uh-huh.
we're welcoming.
Inclusive, I think, might encompass
Accepted.
diversity,
Acceptance.
acceptance,
Acceptance is another
yes,
good word.
yes, acceptance, right. Mhm.
Well, I like the welcoming. I think that
Okay.
as one.
Okay.
I just think, like you said, that we hear that a lot. We feel that.
Mhm. Okay, so that's good.
I guess that's one vote on that one.
Yeah, I like that too.
Well, the rule, if you remember for these, is that when we walk away, we should still be able to remember
Right.
most of what we.
That's why 3 or 4 is sufficient. Right? We should be able to recite this.
Well,
You're right.
It's appropriate though.
Yep.
And you know, one of the things I guess I'd like to mention that is exemplified by the testimonial
Yeah.
right below it there.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I was thinking about it when I was looking at the values and our vision, because, you know, we have sometimes 10 and sometimes 20 people. And I know Tammy sometimes think we drink a lot before we come here, but most of us don't. We just laugh a lot.
Most of us.
And it sometimes is rather raucous.
Well,
And I don't know, Jay, help me, but I think everybody, some of the folks don't participate because they can't, but they try.
But they are participating,
Yeah.
just by virtue of being there.
Yeah.
It's a
Physically.
huge participation.
But
Absolutely.
it is something for anybody who is lonely, who is handicapped, who is in need of just some friends. It's been, but the second one that I think is on page 7, the starting of the Parkinson's support group.
Yes,
That
yes.
the core values do appropriately describe, because, you know, for those of us our age, we always heard of Parkinson's people. But, you know, as we've gotten older, it's almost strange how there's so much Parkinson's around us that we just didn't see when we were younger.
Right. That's
And we have a couple Parkinson's people that are participants in this guys group. And I think that's so important to provide them with some kind of a
I agree.
vehicle for sharing.
Yeah.
Would you think that, I mean, I see your group and talking about that group just as just a huge support.
that's just what I was gonna say, support them.
Support.
Support, yeah, I
Support
just
or
wrote that.
support them.
Yeah.
I just wrote that
Would you
word
think
down,
that that
support.
would-
Yeah.
As one of our core values?
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that too.
Well, yeah, very much.
You know, and it's indirect in
I
the
really like
guys
that.
group of supporting people. I mean, we don't,
Yeah,
we
That's
don't,
really good.
you know,
I really like
the
that.
man in the wheelchair, we're supporting him, but we don't direct it to, you know, we're not saying something to him. I mean, he's just participating.
Right,
And
he's there, right.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us feel a little abused when we leave here. You know.
You deserve it, Gene, you know.
Better said from you than
We like to
Okay,
pick
we'll
on
keep on
judges.
I don't think we'll use the abuse as a core value. That's just friendly banter.
might want to join that group.
Yeah, yeah,
you
my
know,
office
seriously,
is
but-
like close by, so I hear a lot.
When you're doing the core values thing, you know,
Yes.
good examples help you think about
Yes.
what you want that vocabulary to say, I think.
That's very true.
What word would you use, just
Well,
thinking about those?
the support word is what
Support is
struck
what
me.
we-
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like that word. Sharon was just, and he wrote it down and she was, yeah, I think that's a winner.
So
Definitely.
support or supportive?
Well, we have to
Decide if we're
we have to
doing
decide if
nouns
we're, you're right.
Well,
If we're gonna do welcome or welcoming.
Yeah, yeah.
Or support or supportive or.
well, if you're gonna use nouns all the way through.
Right, that needs to
Use
be,
verb.
needs to be consistent, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
You know, listening to the conversation and sort of coming at it from, not much familiarity yet. The interesting thing is that, you want to be inclusive, and yet we all know that carries certain overtones in our society right now that makes some people feel unincluded as well as some people be included. And so you look for something that is going to convey that, but not necessarily, get anybody hopping up and down. But what I'm hearing you talk about, just based on what you've been saying, if you put your welcoming with respectful, right? Welcoming, respectful, supportive, and compassionate, you cover all of that stuff. And they interact with each other in a way that does that inclusion but it's cheating, it's sidestepping anything that might make anybody feel like they don't want to come in. We want everybody, I think, right? It's just
So you said welcoming, supportive, respectful.
welcoming, respectful, supportive, and compassionate.
And compassionate.
And now the downside to that is it leaves out your volunteer and create, which are kind of cruel and kind of, but is
But I think if you have those values, people will volunteer and will create.
right. It creates the atmosphere.
And the
in which
create,
that
I
happens.
think the create was because we are a creative space as well.
Yeah.
And for mind, creativity and mind and body and everything, it's everything, a lot of things that we offer, like our one, I'm going to use another testimonial. She's not going to go in here, but just, face to face, just yesterday. So recently retired and was at home for a little while with the husband and thought, if this is retirement, I'm going to go back to work. But instead she showed up here because somebody said, hey, why don't you come here? Because we create, we do crafting, painting, all these different things, quilting if you want to volunteer outreach. So that's where that create came from. And she said, and I'm good, I'm going to stay retired. This is good. This is my new place. Good. And I'm like, I love that. And she just needed some kind of focus. So the create is, I think it's important, but we don't want to have too many words. But I think that creative and creativity, somewhere has to be said. If it's not in our core values, we need to make sure to express that, and maybe we do that on our page that offers all of that creativity. Is challenge yourself to be creative, or something where we can put it in a different place and still have it known if it's not one of our true core values.
Because it's different than educate, on the mission, we have the educational opportunities, but that's different.
Right.
I think.
Right, so the creation is, I'm always about mind and body. So, keeping your mind sharp. And all of the things that we offer do help that.
Do you want to add that word in the mission statement? You don't want to make it too long, I understand that, but do you want to add after physical, creative, and educational opportunities?
So educational does work your mind.
Right.
So maybe that's where it is. Because within too, we do a lot of, mind and body things, and in the wellness section, I tend to try to find articles that's all about brain health and wellness, and so it's in there. And so you're right, under educational, is educational an okay word? Like we went back and forth on that. That doesn't scare people away, does it? like I don't know if I want to go to school,
But they're learning opportunities.
But they're learning opportunities,
Right.
and I think our target group is 50 and up. And so at that point, you're like, yes, I do want to challenge my brain. I do want to learn new things.
Well, maybe learning
in
might
place.
be better than educational.
Right.
Learning?
Yeah, learning. Yeah,
Because
learning
that might
includes creative, I
encompass the
guess.
creative and.
You learn how to
Good
quilt.
idea.
You learn how to
Right. So
You learn about estate planning.
yeah. So instead of educational, learning.
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll have to do a
We have to.
vote on that
Motion
one
on
if we
that.
want a motion on that. Yep, if we're going to change that, and that's okay. This was the first publication that was in, so I believe if everyone is in support of that.
It's not as formal sounding.
Right, that's what it is.
It's
Yeah.
not as what?
It's not as formal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Yep.
You know, and the other thing, I was just, where you have classes, now maybe having creative opportunities instead of classes.
Yes.
Might, people might not get that it's a class, I don't know, but that might be another thing you could do.
You know what, I like
highlighting
that.
That's what
I
do.
like that too, yeah, yep,
That
definitely.
page.
Mm-hmm, yeah, yep. All those little, you know, they seem like little word changes, but they may make a big difference.
So just to go back to Elizabeth's then, so in that order, I want to make sure I had your order right. Welcoming, supportive, respectful, and compassionate, no.
Nope.
Welcoming, respectful,
supportive,
supportive,
and
compassionate.
compassionate.
Supportive,
Mhm.
okay, thanks. Okay.
And I must say, we're all of those. We
You are.
really are.
Yeah.
We really
Well, and I-
really are. And it's not that we're just tooting our own horn and saying that's what we are, that's what we hear.
Yeah,
Well,
well, and I
that's
appreciate
just
your
what
perspective.
Jean was describing,
Yes,
right.
what he was describing, and it just yes, exactly. That's what it stems, that's what it's about. That's fantastic.
Just for the record, I told Laura, it wasn't Carlene who you're talking about yesterday.
That just retired, that had to get away from.
From her husband.
No.
I hope, but we've been retired for 25 years. Just a little too late now.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, well,
Okay,
that's fantastic. I like all of those. Does anyone have anything else to add, or? I like that we're going to change the educational to learning, and that our core values, I like the welcome
Are
and
you in need of a
respectful.
motion to approve?
We
these?
will.
Well, do we want to do that today? Do we want to do that next month? Do we all feel comfortable doing that today?
I
comfortable
feel
doing it today.
that we, I
All right.
feel
Yep.
What did you
that,
I said I'm comfortable doing it today.
yeah, rather than drag it
I'll
along
move-
again, I think we
I'll
should.
move the approval of the core values, and I guess we modified the mission statement as it was too a little bit.
Yes, one word.
So that the new mission statement, vision, and core values vocabulary is as is recommended here today.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay.
Sharon, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Fantastic.
Awesome. That's great.
Thank you, everybody.
If I could just go back to public comment and maybe,
Yes.
I
Yes.
thought of something about learning opportunities. If, the minutes could reflect this, and I'll try to bring it back further. There's something at the college in Wausau, UWMC, I still call it UWMC.
Oh,
It's in January of every year. It's called the Good Ideas Conference. It's a 3-day conference. They may shorten it to 2, but right now it's 3. And it's in January between the semesters. And at one point there were like 200 people coming to that, and now it went down to about 92, particularly after COVID. My wife and I, we've been going to it for probably 10 years, and I had too many comments one time, so I got put on a committee to get more attendance from the Merrill area.
oh,
I mean, people from Merrill just don't come. And, I mean, everyone in this group right here would, I think, enjoy it. I mean, it's basically designed for people probably retirement age, I would say.
Okay.
But it's a lot of speakers, and it's kind of, if you think of all the topics in 2 or 3 days, it's either things that are interesting or that are useful to you. So, interesting things, I don't know.
And they did make it available by Zoom, I think, the last couple of
And
years.
they have been doing it by Zoom, for people that are interested in it. But it's at the college, and it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Lunch is,
I think about
you
it.
can
I know.
purchase lunch that is
Yes.
brought there. And the lady that's coordinating it is working with the director of the T.V. Scott Library, who's that?
Lori.
Lori Olaf and Jean Greenwood, and myself, trying to get more Merrill people
Oh,
involved in
gotcha.
it.
And
Okay.
a way to do that might be to offer some transportation, because it always is during bad weather.
Yeah,
And that's
that,
what.
Oh, January, no,
That's
true.
the thing that stops
During
me
the
from,
day.
it's during the day.
That's
It's typically 8:30 roughly. Well, they have coffee at 8:30, start at 9 and end by about 3:30.
and there's lots of different choices every day.
Yeah,
Glad
really interesting.
that I read about it every year. And think about
I
it.
think you and Marty should go.
Well, Marty,
You know, that's a good idea, providing transportation. I don't know if we would be willing to do that here as part of with the bus or not. I don't know.
Well, if we promoted it as something, well, it is our target market.
Yeah.
If we promoted it here, that we would
as a
be
service,
as a service and the center, you know, we have a driver that would drive us down and that driver could come back and not have to stay the whole time or stay.
Because it's close.
And then, yeah, we could certainly consider that. So yeah, let's put that,
I'll just bring more
Yeah.
ideas of
Yeah.
this.
How did you like find out about it? Like, how do you know
I
if
think
you're
I'm,
in the Merrill area, you know, that this is going on?
I think I'm always on their
UWSC.
continuing education website. I get emails from them,
Oh,
from Point
yeah.
and from the Wausau campus.
Because that's something I'd be interested
I
in
mean,
going to.
years ago, it came
Yeah.
out in the catalog of continuing education.
Right.
Well, once Stevens Point took over, they cut that budget.
Mm.
So every mailbox got it, you know, something like this, but
Yeah,
bigger,
right.
that had all the different types of continuing ed.
Okay.
but now it's via email,
Now it's by email, the
Facebook,
postcards do
maybe.
come,
maybe
but
Facebook.
for some reason, not having that catalog that came,
Right.
you know, and then you know, you have to register online, I think that's hard for some people
Oh,
to do that too.
right,
So I think that it's,
yeah.
you know, it's young people that organize it and they have a different way of doing things than the retired people. You know.
We need to catch up with that technology.
Transportation, they don't see it as barriers, but for the people
Yes,
that we're
they're
talking
certainly-
about, that right away it looks like a barrier, right?
Yeah.
A way not to get in rather than a way to get in.
Yeah, you type this great big thing into your computer and then you find the registration sheet.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
no, how many people are gonna do that? You know?
Right, that's very true, very true.
I think
No, like
transportation
it.
would be a main
Yeah.
thing, a main barrier.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I think that's good, that a higher education
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yes.
Right, right.
Older adults
Right.
should still be
I
there.
mean, just one, I don't wanna spend a lot of time on it, but I don't know if you know Brett Barker, he's a history professor
Yeah,
down there,
I've
he's
heard of him.
super interesting.
Yeah.
He does 3 days.
Yeah.
Once he did Wisconsin and the Civil War. What was some of his other? This year he was going to do Abraham Lincoln, but then his dad had some health issues, so he couldn't do it. But I think that'll be his topic in January of 2005.
Yeah, he's great.
And we're trying to get Ann Walsh Bradley, the Supreme Court Justice, to come. She's from Wausau.
So we retired, so.
Is there a fee for it, Jay?
Oh yeah, you gotta pay. There is a fee, and I think it's
It's not too
about
bad.
$59 or $60 for the,
And it's less if you don't eat there.
yeah,
You don't
and
take
and you can
lunch.
eat, if you wanna pay for the food, then
Pack your lunch.
2510 brought the food, I think it was 2510, I'm not sure who it was, brought the food in. So it's a little bit more if you want, but you can bring your own lunch or you can leave it in
So it's like 15 or whatever for the 3 days?
$59, I think it was, for 3 days.
Pretty good deal, actually.
Yeah, okay, awesome, well, thank you, that's. sounds
Tammy,
very
do you ever get bulletins from UWSP or,
Here?
yeah, for older age?
No, we do not. No, we do
And we
not.
should-
I wonder if I
Sharon,
can subscribe.
Sharon, how did we get on the mailing list? Sharon and her husband and Maxine and I, we went down,
2 weeks ago,
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
To Stevens Point, UW Stevens Point. You know, 2 national people came, Donna Brazil, and she was a former chairman of the Democratic Party.
Works for ABC now.
Oh,
She commentates.
ABC,
Yeah.
and Anna
She's interesting.
Navarro on The
from
View.
The View.
Oh, I would love to see
And she
that.
did more of the Republican, you know, side of it,
Well, you gotta
and Donna did the Democratic side of it. But they were very neutral, I mean,
Yeah.
Sure.
yeah, they,
very professional, I should say.
Yeah.
And
oh, that's great.
Maxine happened to see it on Facebook, but Sharon said there's a way we can get,
I think it was through UW continuing
Continuing.
ed.
now how do we get on that mailing list?
Just-
How- I don't know.
Go to the university's page, I think, and
I would have
I'm
done
not
something
sure.
like that.
Yeah,
That
there
would have
must
been
be.
interesting.
I get so many emails
Actually-
and whatever.
Yeah, you're always a wealth of knowledge on all these things.
The girls did a continuing education during COVID. Because we had time to do that, and I think it was through the University of Stevens Point. I will check too, 'Cause I
You
might
maybe
have that.
could put that in there for people to register for that.
That was
That's how they would,
fabulous, though. It was
so
really,
they get
really
the
good.
emails.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then 2 weeks before that, we had gone to a presentation about the author from the Green Book, what presented there, and we each got a hardcover book. They had this fancy meal, snack thing afterwards. It was really fun.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And it was
We're
free.
missing out.
That was great.
Very good.
Great.
Great conversation. Yep, we'll note that as we get closer to that time and try to get the resources and promote it as such and see if we can get more people down there.
And I was at the library board yesterday, and where I was seeing that they're becoming closer with UWSB to offset the UW extension loss.
Oh,
So
yeah.
hopefully, if we could maybe talk to her, she might have
Yeah.
connections to it as well.
That's an idea, yeah.
That is wonderful.
You know?
Very good. Okay.
I don't know what UW extension offered totally for us here at
Right.
this place, but
Yeah.
certainly it's
Yeah,
another
it's worth.
avenue.
Well, they did Strong Bodies here, the UW extension.
And they offered a lot of advice to farmers.
Yeah,
Right,
Yeah.
agriculturally,
Yeah.
right.
And people are now trying to call Helene's Hilltop Orchard all the time about questions. I know a friend of mine was trying to call, and they don't want to answer all that. They don't have time to do all that.
Big problem I think people are having is getting their pressure cookers tested.
Yeah.
Oh.
Extension used to do that for them and now,
Where do you go?
right,
Maybe
More
babies.
things, more things uncovered now that they're not here that they did.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, next discussion on healthcare planning. I know in the interest of time, I guess I've
Health share, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the girls and I were going to start reaching out and emailing and calling, and I paused for a second and I'm like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to include one and not the 10 chiropractors, or the one this and not the 5 of that? And so I called Tom Hayden, because that's where I go to when I'm worried about things, and he said, oh, right. So we can't play favorites, and so we have to go back to the drawing board to decide how do we run a health fair rather, and be
inclusive.
inclusive.
Well, when you were looking for
Neutral was the
people,
best word.
neutral, how did you decide to let the Hogan guy come and do estate planning? Did you invite everyone in the community?
Well, I reached out to many people, and he was one who could do it, but it was one offering at this time. This is a whole health fair. And so, I mean, we have to find a way to not have, to have a balance of offering. So I reached out to Shelley, and she had sent me, she
Through
said,
the health department.
yep, from the health department. She said, I said, could you be involved? Can we work together? And she said, that depends. It needs to follow their community-centered resource for the 55 and up population, and it has to abide by their objectives for that.
Wow.
So then they can help us participate. Okay, so, right. So there's that also. I know, right? And here's the thing, I absolutely love this idea. I want to do a health fair, whether it's, blood pressure checks or where they poke your finger and test you for sugars and all of these things. It's out of my realm of understanding. I will be honest about that, all of that. And how it works, but we started to say, okay, the Merrill PT and much needed massage and a chiropractor and clinics and which nutritionists and dietitians, and so that's where we're at.
Do we actually have that many that we can't just put out a blanket invitation to, if you're in Lincoln County or in the city of Merrill, within the city limits, and you run with
And
your
we
health
have-
practice?
We'd like a response by such and
Wait,
such a date.
do we really have?
And we have space utilization issues as well. So we have the expo, so we would have to say we have this many spaces,
Uh-huh,
this is how much we're going to charge.
first come, first served.
Well, first come, first serve, we could have 10 chiropractors.
Right, that's, well, yeah, you're right.
So that's where
I don't think
it's like,
10
how do we, well, I'm just saying,
Yeah, you could,
we could have duplications and not, and a load of one thing and not a balanced offering of
Right.
of what a health fair should look like.
So this sounds complicated. It sounds
Yeah,
like a
it shouldn't be this
spreadsheet
yeah.
nuttiness, but if you have 4 or 5 categories and you look at those categories and you say, okay, there are 3 physical therapists in Merrill, but there are 10 chiropractors and there are 5, I'm
Whatever.
making it up,
Yeah.
acupuncturists,
Right,
right?
right.
So then based on that, you start with the category that has the fewest practitioners first and send the invitation out. And each day you send the invitation out to the next category until you get to the 10 chiropractors. And at which point you say, well, we have 6 spaces to fill and, first come, first serve.
Right.
But you've already filled those
Yeah.
other categories.
Yeah.
I know it
That's
sounds
a
like,
good, no, that's a good suggestion. I like that.
if you're a spreadsheet sort of person,
I love spreadsheets.
it's not as terrifying as it sounds.
Ask,
Yeah. Last
those
month.
who have been here love spreadsheets. I gotta simplify my spreadsheets.
And if you need a volunteer, because you have lots of volunteers, if you need some, I love spreadsheets too.
Yeah, I do too. We're gonna get along. So yeah, that is a really good suggestion. I like that. I think that's a good starting point for us to figure out, first of all, which categories, what does a health fair look like to us, which we have exhausted. We really have, what we want to offer, when we want to offer it. So that gives me a good focal point of where do I start? How do I do this? And have it be fair,
Right.
because that's what we have to do
It's a
when we're
fair.
in the city.
And when
Because what?
Because it's a fair. It's got to be fair.
you're thinking about the categories, mind, body, and spirit.
Yes, yeah, mind, body, and spirit. So I want to have, and I like that you brought that up. We have holistic healing too
Yeah.
in here, where people aren't just into the medicine part of it. They want more holistic. So I'll absolutely want to bring that in as well. So
And you could
those are going
start
to be our
narrow, and then
categories.
if you don't get as many, then you can branch
Oh
out.
yes,
Right.
then I could branch out to absolutely.
And like as far as chiropractors go, there may be that many chiropractors, but how many are just one guy in office that aren't going to be able to come to a health fair because they'll make more money but working all day than they're going to do coming here.
Right.
That's true. That's very true. And then we have to, I think in our next meeting, we will focus on what are the parameters of, when they come, like what, they can't, how do we say this? Just like Hogum can't be saying come to Hogum and, we have to set like some
Right.
boundaries. Like this is what we want to offer to the public and this is what we can have you do and this is what we are going to request you don't do. Something like that, so that there's not, it's not meant to be a competitive space for soliciting business. It's supposed to be helping the population at large.
Yeah, what you're really doing is you're asking them to showcase their profession,
Yes.
not necessarily their
Yes.
practice.
Their particular practice, yeah, perfect.
And most of them are willing to do that.
Yeah.
Most people are pretty good about that.
I think so too, so yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to seem like jerks.
And we talked a little bit about this before, but we just touched on having maybe some breakout sessions with some small, like 20 minutes, half an hour at the very most, for different people that would like to do a presentation with a small, explanation of what they do. We could use this room, we could use the craft room, and so that would be a possibility too.
You had that Adam from Riverside Athletic Club
Yeah.
come, I can't think of his last name, about,
The
Well,
PT, physical therapist.
Physical therapist.
yeah.
What we've done
We all
too,
go to them.
I know in the past we had this about pharmacists, and we asked all the pharmacists to participate sometimes, but Robbie Johnson was the only one who would participate. But
Okay,
we did suggest that every year we would try to have somebody different. So eventually, if you didn't get your shot this year,
Oh, I
for
see,
whatever
I
reason,
see.
that next year, we'll open it up again, and that seemed to help. Because we did have, in the past, more local pharmacies
Yeah.
here in Merrill.
oh, yes,
And now
of
it's
course.
more
Now it's
industrial,
more, yeah,
you know.
more
But
corporate.
when we did suggest to them that, Robbie did it this year because he was the only one who volunteered.
Yeah,
But if you're available next year, we'll take you, and that seems to help.
okay, good, okay, very good.
Well, last week, did Tomahawk have their health and sports show and home show? Did they combine like 3 categories?
I didn't
Yeah,
notice
very
anything
good.
about health.
Yeah, I've been to
Last
that
week.
before.
But
and
was it
that's
a,
huge. That's a big show.
Was health included?
I think it was this
I-
year.
they-
I think it was.
I think
It was
that sounds
Sports,
right.
Health and Home Show,
Yeah.
they called it. So I don't know if that would be an avenue to maybe call them up there and see how they might have done things or who they found was helpful to.
Was that put on by the Chamber of Commerce up there?
I think the radio station, JJ.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is the radio station that does it.
I know that both Merrill and Tomahawk Chamber of Commerce get a booth there, so there's still a good resource to talk
The
to.
chamber.
And
You might talk to,
Tomahawk Sports and-
who's the gal there, Jessica, or
Sarah?
Sarah. Yeah, Stern,
the chamber.
Sarah Stern.
Sarah Stern.
I would contact Sarah
Oh,
Stern.
okay.
maybe.
Yeah, she would know.
She might have saw up there when she was up there.
Okay.
Between her and Clyde, they would know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tammy, did you decide how many stations you were gonna have?
Well, if we're going based off of it depends on how much space they would like, because we have, how many tables at our craft event, our fall craft event. We have quite a few that can fit in our expo. So it depends on how much space they need. Ours are 10 by 10s. If their booth is bigger than that.
So it isn't as though we're gonna run out of station time, place.
Pardon me?
It isn't that we're going to run out of space for more stations for people.
I think we would control that. Like, well, to Elizabeth's point too, it's like we have this many available for this many for this, and so yeah, we would control that. Because we don't want it to be too tight. That's, we would rather have it be more open.
You charge by, you said by footage,
Well-
square footage around the.
I think we've always stayed with that 10 by 10 space for our fee. So if it was a bigger space that they needed, maybe we would charge obviously a little more for that, depending on what their needs were. But you don't know what you don't know. So we've never had health fair. so I'm sure once I start reaching out and they come back and say, well, we typically have a 20 by 20 foot space. It's like, okay, so we'll double the 10 by 10 and say it's that much. So we'll figure that out. I don't really know what it even would look like.
So do
Tammy.
we have to follow all of Shelley's parameters if we don't ask her for any help?
No. It just, if I say, here's what we've decided to do, I can look at her parameters and say, does that, some of them we will hit for sure, but do they need to hit every single one of these? And then I'll just throw that back at her and she will let me know, yep, that's good, and we can help participate or help you do that, or no, we can't, so. Yeah.
Nathan?
I can help a little bit with space needs from some of these people. During the fair, Geist Chiropractic comes in and they get a booth from the Lincoln County
Yes.
Fair. They do a 20 by 10.
Yes.
So
Okay.
they were more looking at the front, the width space over the depth space.
Okay, cool.
I would assume most
Nice to see you.
physicians aren't gonna want a
See you next
depth,
month.
Okay,
you know.
thank you,
They're
bye-bye.
not gonna want the depth, they're gonna want the frontage to display
Okay,
everything. And,
okay, that makes sense,
So-
yeah, okay, thank you.
Yes. Just to try to help identify that right now.
Yeah, that's a good visual for me too, that's, okay, excellent. Okay,
Any other thoughts on the health fair, suggestions?
Are you zeroed down on a date now or not? We talked
oh
about
no,
October.
we don't, yeah, we can try, we're gonna shoot for that October, but
Oh,
I'm not gonna hold my breath until, it's
a
always.
busy fall.
It's a busy fall, but it's also, I want it to be,
Expo and-
it's representative of the Enrichment Center, so if it's not to the level that we think it's gonna be a great health fair, then we'll bump it into next year.
well, to Mark's point, or what you brought up about Tomahawk
Yeah.
being this time of year, then if they're gonna continue that health, then we have to maybe be mindful of that,
I don't think theirs was a health fair.
He's,
It's a sports,
Maybe a couple things where it's sports events.
sports
Sports,
and health?
yeah.
It
Oh,
could've-
got you, like sport,
It was,
not like a sport like a racing a boat sport.
No,
It's
no.
a sports, like sports, physical sports. Gotcha.
fishing and
Fishing,
stuff.
yeah.
Fishing
It
and
was
stuff,
a
that's what I
home
thought.
sport
Home
health show.
sto- yes.
They had like
Okay.
3 categories.
Yeah, okay,
It was
that's,
all one,
We're just
that
gonna
was
do it all at
last,
one
it was
time.
last
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
I think I heard about it.
Basically what they do up there is they take they give businesses the chance to just
Showcase?
basically showcase what they have at booths
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Okay.
Maybe sell a few things too.
Okay.
And they just put it all along their main street basically.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
any business can show up.
Yeah.
And, okay,
Yeah,
That
so
makes sense.
or any business or any nonprofits, anything
They
like
use the
that.
whole high school, their high school and elementary and middle school are all combined.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
they have like 2 gymnasiums.
Oh, wow,
Plus they,
okay.
They utilize that space for that.
Oh, wow, okay, okay.
Yeah.
But he just mentioned health, or
Yeah.
so I just.
Yeah, so there could have been a few health shops and stuff like that that showed up, and that's
Okay.
where
But I
that got.
mean, if we didn't, I guess I'm just thinking, if we didn't do October, and they're gonna make, if that's an annual thing for them, we might not wanna do April, or, you know what I mean? We
Yeah.
might wanna do.
Yeah, we can kind of, well, we're not having our spring craft show either. So
That's true.
that could be the replacement for that, if it comes to it. If we can't make it, and, I mean, October seems far away, but it's not. We're already working on July's newsletter, so it's like,
Well, Mark just reminded me of something. At one time, we used to have a business fair at the high school. And we were always amazed at the number of things we produced in Merrill that nobody knew about.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't that out at the Mark?
We had it at the Mark too, yeah. And I mean, we had lots of booths of all different kinds, and people who had lived here for 25 years would go there. Had no idea we were doing this kind of
That's
stuff
true.
in Merrill.
Might be another idea.
They just had a career fair today.
I'm
at the
sorry?
They just had a career fair today at the high school, so
yeah.
a lot of businesses from the area came towards that.
That's
so.
good that they do that at the high school, so the kids can see
Yeah.
what
But
opportunities.
that's interesting, there's probably a lot I have no idea about,
No,
I'm sure.
I worked at the Cranberry Marsh. There's a number of people that don't know that Merrill has a Cranberry
Yeah.
Marsh.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't, until my friends told me years ago, I'm like,
Go
But
figure.
we might want to think about something like that for the future.
yeah, we can put it on our future to-dos,
Business
yes.
industrial show.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and maybe it wouldn't, if it's not under the MEC's umbrella, because it's really not our mission and focus, it could be under the city's umbrella.
Well,
With the expo.
I guess my point would be to try to get as many people as possible from different venues to come here
Yeah,
to see stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Just like, some of us came to the quilt fair last year.
Oh, yes.
People came from all over, Mark, to look
Yeah,
at quilts.
that's what I've heard.
And I always thought, why would anybody come here to look at quilts,
Until you
But some of us were quite overwhelmed.
Yes.
That is really an unbelievable.
Yeah, we're really
example.
excited to have that coming up, yeah.
Brought
And,
in a lot of people from the outside.
right, and now we're expecting
Yeah.
large crowds because word of mouth got out pretty quickly. And so, we'll be ready, I think.
Yeah.
I hope.
Are we done?
Yes, we're done. Well, any other thoughts for next month's meeting before we adjourn? Anything you'd like?
And if you do think of anything that you would like to have on next month's agenda, definitely just let me know. Like that, what you were thinking of, I'll go with what we have now, and if we have room and time, we'll add that in, so. All right.
All right, any motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Second, Mark. All in favor, say aye.
I-
Opposed?
Well,
Thank you
thanks,
all.